There's a lot to do in 21st century life. Whether it's starting that pension, taking that driving test, or simply fixing that curtain rail. Before you know it, the list is longer than life itself. But when time's moving on, what's really important on life's to-do list? Forgive someone? Find that lost love? Or just let your hair down, squander the kids' inheritance and behave badly? They're older, they're wiser, sometimes they're wilder. And we ask them, what's the one thing they want to do? Meet Kevin Cavey from Dublin, part-time philosopher and author, charity fundraiser and former champion surfer. Not bad for 67. This week Kevin's grabbing his board and throwing caution to the wind. Because there's one thing he wants to do. Tow-in surfing's a new sport at the extreme end of the surfing spectrum, combining jet skiing with surfing. Not exactly the natural habitat for your average 60-something. Many surfers half his age wouldn't take the risk, but according to Kevin, that's all the more reason to strike it off his to-do list.
It would really be the one thing that I always wanted to do, because there is an element of gamble in it. You know, when you come out after the struggle where you're battling with the elements, and if you've overcome that threat and managed to ride a wave, you can go back to the beach and sit down very happy.
There's no time like the present, so this week this old-age daredevil has come to Surfer's Paradise on Australia's Gold Coast to see if he can push himself to the limit with his first tow-in. Back home, Kevin is credited with being the granddaddy of Irish surfing. He first spotted the potential of Irish waves over 40 years ago and started making his own surfboards, back when it wasn't cool. He had become fascinated by the surfing culture that was developing in America, and he wanted to create a little California in Ireland.
In the beginning, like when we had maybe 5 or 6 people, there was a certain pioneering atmosphere about it. It was like the apostles going out to bring the word. Then it increased, of course, in numbers, and it got more exciting as that happened. So that was the great sense of adventure, putting the board in the car and heading off and having people look at you and think, what's this all about? But I always felt I had an ownership in it, a stake in it, and that's why I continued with it.
44 years later, surfing is still a big part of Kevin's life. He's surfed in Mexico, California, Hawaii and Peru. But there must be something really special about it if he's prepared to get into the Irish Sea in winter.
It means, first of all, on the surface, an awful lot of freedom. The freedom comes by the fact that you get away from everything, but you also get to challenge the forces of nature out there in the ocean. And I think that really might be what attracts people, that particular spiritual side of it. It certainly attracts me. It really, particularly with retirement in recent years, it's come on a lot stronger. It's been nice to have as a secret weapon.
Well, even the granddaddy of Irish surfing can have an off day. The tow-in surfing that Kevin wants to do is not for the faint-hearted. Surfers are attached to a jet ski by a rope and taken out onto large waves before letting go and surfing. A technically complicated procedure.
I trust that I'll be put onto a good wave, and once I'm on it, I can ride it.
The tow-in will be doubly tough for Ireland's most senior surf instructor, as he'll be the oldest person ever to have done it at Surfer's Paradise. And because it's an extreme sport, Kevin will have to undergo a rigorous assessment procedure to determine if he's up to it. But granddaughter Olivia has some sound advice.
The only thing I'm going to tell Grandad is just to stay alive and not hurt anything.
This is absolutely unbelievable thought, you know, to think of going there. I'm also quite terrified.
Kevin's wife, Anne, is equally terrified, but she's putting a brave face on it.
He wouldn't need to think when he goes out there that any of us didn't want him to go or we were afraid for him. The only way to go is to go totally positive. And if, I just said this to a very special friend of mine, if anything ever happened to him, believe it or not, he would be in his happiest place. So, again, that might be very hard for people to understand that, but it is the love of his life. So, going to Australia and getting the chance and opportunity to surf there will just mean the world to him.
It's time for Kevin to leave for Australia, but there's been a slight change of plan. Anne's worries have gotten the better of her, and she's made a last-minute decision. To make sure Kevin gets back in one piece, she'd better go too.
I think at the end of the day, it's just to be there for him. He's never done a tow-in, and he suddenly thought, I've always been there for all of them. I really would be there to sort of encourage him, you know. Oh my God. Where are we going? Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Nathan.
Nathan, how are you, Nathan? It's a lovely name.
Goddamn right, it's a beautiful day. Goddamn right.
Realise that, oh my God.
Life's ambition to go there and before I pass away to actually get to ride some really serious waves in the sunshine for a change. Oh, I see the Frankfurt now. That side, 1656, that's our flight.
A day and a half later, and they've arrived in Australia. They've come all this way, but there's no guarantee that Kevin would get to do the tow-in. Later at Surfers Paradise, he'll have to undergo a tough assessment for his fitness. But for now, he's just happy to be here.
So many people that have just gone out here, and I feel like I was missing a party for the last 40 years. But I've arrived. I'm in Australia.
Surfers Paradise is a brash, modern city which grew up just 50 years ago around its famous beach, great surf and round-the-clock partying. Today it's thronged with Japanese tourists, college students and surfing nuts of all ages. Kevin barely has a breather before it's time for his assessment. He'll be assessed by big wave surfer Davina Drykon. He needs to prove to Davina that he's strong enough to take on the tow tomorrow. He's come a long way, but there's still a chance he could fall at the first hurdle.
I am very anxious about the assessment, yes, because it's most important. I have to be assessed positive so I can get at that tow-in.
Joining Davina is pro surfer Jay Bottle Thompson.
Hello, Jay.
Hey, buddy.
Very pleased to meet you.
You too, mate.
Lovely to be in your country.
Yeah. Wish I was in yours.
Davina tests Kevin's flexibility with some yoga stretches, and then she has to make sure that he understands the risks associated with tow-ins.
So let's just have a look at the surf over here. It looks like pretty good conditions, not too big waves. It'd be good just to do a few jump ups and catch a few waves. We just want to see what you're capable of and make sure that you're going to be able to do the tow surfing tomorrow. And as you know, the tow surfing can be quite dangerous. I mean, especially if you do it in the big waves. But even in small waves, there are lots of dangers in that regard, which Jay is going to be able to tell you a little bit about.
The main thing you got to watch out for, I think, is the rope. You know, you get a lot of instances when you're out there and the rope might wrap around your head or something like that. So,
Yeah, this is after you start taking off.
Yeah, or even like when you go to like maybe pick someone up, if you go past them a little bit quick, you've got to be really conscious of where the rope is, because if you do a loop around somebody, obviously the rope's following the jet ski and can kind of take your head off. So they're just like little things, but like, I mean, that's why they're trying to introduce these courses and make you aware of the dangers of tow surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but you'll be right, mate. That's probably the worst thing, but...
Head out there, we're just going to catch some of these nice little waves here in the shorey. and go for a paddle. Be fun.
I thought you all might begin your tour here.
Davina's observing Kevin's general fitness and watching how successful he is in catching waves. She's keeping a close eye on his upper body strength, which is where people often come unstuck on a tow-in. Davina has carefully assessed Kevin's performance, and now it's time to find out if her 67-year-old has made the grade.
How did I do there today? I wonder.
How'd you go?
Yeah, did I do all right?
Yes, you passed. I
Oh,
assessed that
great.
you did well.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you get to move on to the next thing. You get to do some
yes.
toe surfing with Shane. So
Wow.
that's excellent.
Yes, things are falling into place.
Yeah.
Thank you very
You've
much,
done,
yeah.
done a really good job, and you got some nice waves out there.
Yes.
So good on you. Good work.
Thank you,
Yep.
yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good
Look
work.
forward to that.
But that's all ahead of Kevin. Tonight, he and Anne have an acquaintance to renew with Kevin's old surf buddy, Alan Rich, and his wife, Evelyn. Alan is an American surf photographer, now living in Australia, who Kevin first met on the Irish surfing scene in Lahinch 40 years ago.
So you come all this way to go tow-in surfing, have you?
You say that with a fiendish grin. I wonder why, Alan.
It's not fiendish, it's leprechaunish. You've never done it before, huh?
Well, I have on a knee-high behind a lifeboat freeboarded at home, but that wasn't the same as the tow-in we're talking about today. Have you ever done the tow-in, Alan, yourself?
No, I've taken a look at that stuff. It's I like to be behind the lens on that stuff. Yeah, that's what got me. Actually, that's what started me taking surfing photos when I used my ex-career with that. The surf got about 15 or 20 feet, and I went, oh, I better take a photo.
So, Kevin, are you apprehensive about tomorrow? You've got a bit of the nervous Nellies happening, or are you all right?
Well, I was fine until I realised that Alan isn't prepared to do it, which now makes me think twice. What lies behind this, this great water spout? Am I going to leave my carbon footprints on the face of a wave? Is that permitted, or will the Neptune do me in because of that? But I'm getting apprehensive now.
The fact that Alan wouldn't be prepared to risk a tow-in has slightly unsettled Kevin. But tomorrow's his big day, so he'll have to conquer the nervous Nellies. It's the day of the tow-in. Today, Kevin will get the chance to strike that one thing off his to-do list, or at least try. And despite the anxiety of the night before, Kevin's in a buoyant mood.
I naturally have a certain amount of butterflies, but I think once one gets out and gets to grip with it, that'll dissolve just like the salt in the sea will do the trick.
Shane Horn will be Kevin's guide for the day. Shane is a surf instructor, and behind the modest exterior, a former world champion and all-round surfing icon. Kevin is in good hands, but he's still nervous. There's no time for pleasantries, and it's straight down to business.
Just ask you about the board. Is due to the size of the waves, it's the board without the loops, is it?
Yeah, there's no straps on it, and also it's just a little bit easier to stand on.
Yes, right.
So you're from Ireland?
Yeah, that's right, indeed.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
My family comes from Ireland.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What part?
I wouldn't know. I'm sixth generation Australian.
But yeah, great.
Yeah, so where's your shorts? You ready to rock or
Well, I
what?
just have to get changed and I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Fine. Swell height isn't that great. Very exciting being here for a tow-in, to learn about it and to try it out. And I hope this is the start of a new era for me getting involved in this. But the learning process for me is going to be the tow-in, the coordination, the management, cooperating with the management, and then achieving what they want me to achieve out there. And put it all together, and we have a great tow-in experience. It might lead to maybe someday riding, bigger waves and maybe achieving something more.
But until I get out there and get cooled off by a few dunks under the foam, up to then I'll be a little bit nervous. It's a Hail Mary every now and then.
Kevin has a whole team watching his back, even a shark spotter.
I could have Matt pick up the board, right? So you're worrying about the board. You're going to make sure you bring him out the back, and then we'll regroup out the backs to kick him off.
Stage 1 of the day will be a training session on the beach, followed by Stage 2, a practice run in shallow water to see how Kevin manages with the jet ski and rope. All going well, Kevin will proceed to the final stage, a chance to try a tow-in for real in the deeper waters offshore.
Safety areas and how to get onto the mat.
Milton Brunton is a senior Gold Coast lifeguard. He'll be operating the safety ski that'll pick Kevin up if he comes off his surfboard. Kevin needs to pay close attention as there's a lot to take on board.
I'm going to get you familiar with the jet ski and the sled before we go out in the water. So you come over here, mate, we'll show you a few things. I'm going to come in nice and slow, and it's going to be a bit scary when the boat comes near you. That's why we've got the gaff helmet on you, mate. I'm going to make sure we don't hit you. I'm going to just proceed you straight to the back of the sled this way. Just do a practice run there for me, mate. Go right ahead. If we do go over any waves or whatever in this position, okay, just use your legs and your elbows as shock absorbers, okay, in case we slap against the mat, and you have no problems from there.
Safety procedures covered, it's now time for Shane to take Kevin through the mechanics of the tow-in. The challenge for Kevin will be to stand upright on the board while holding the tow rope. Much harder than it looks. It demands great upper body strength, and it's usually the point at which seasoned surfers come a cropper.
Are you guys ready to rock? We'll just start to get into the